It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang. Okay, let's get into it. A stud told me, edition part 1. A stud told me that I don't even know where to start. Hold on. It's so much. Hold up. Okay, a stud told me that she had got essayed by the tree man in the middle of the night, which is why she couldn't give me a call back, because she ended up passing out and waking up face down, ass up. A stud told me that her mom's friend had dropped her off at my house when I had pulled up and seen that she got out of the car with this older white gentleman. It was her mom's friend. It was a friend of the family. Come to find out, it was her sugar daddy. A stud told me, don't call, don't text me. And just like that, I'm single. A stud told me that they were in love with 2 women at once and that I was the better option, but they couldn't let go of what they built, so they needed time to figure out what they wanted to do. A stud told me that I was the best thing that ever happened to her and she never wanted to lose me, so she would do whatever it takes to
They lie just like niggas.
I had a stud tell me that I was too independent and that if I kept being independent, I was going to be single for the rest of my life. Hey y'all, stud story time. I was talking to this stud. She was older and she basically was my type at the time. So we decided to just talk, surface level things, get to know each other, checking in every day, I would say, type stuff. So it got to the point where she's like, okay, I want to meet you. I want to see if your energy is the same on the phone as it is in person. And of course it is. So I'm like, all right, that's fine too. I just want to see if you're about what you say you about, So we ended up trying to get a date together and we got the date together. So I'm like, let me know. First, something crazy happened. So at first, initially I told her like, okay, yeah, you can come stay at my place, because hey, it's no point in getting a room. You could just come kick it with me. Then something crazy happened. We're going to get into that later. I retracted what I said and I said, I think it's best if you get a hotel room. So she got mad at that. Okay, part 2. Okay, so I told y'all that something happened and I ended up saying, hey, you might as well get a hotel room. I think it'll be best. So she caught an attitude about that. But at the end of the day, I feel like I would have never said that if I didn't feel safe enough for you to be in my environment, in my house. So she's like, all right, I'll let you know when I get everything booked. I said, okay. So push kind of shove, boom, boom, boom. Everything happened. I meet her at the airport, pick her up. I'm like, where did you get the hotel room at so I could drop you off at the hotel room while I go get myself together real quick, because I had just got off of work, so I wasn't together. But I wanted to make sure that she knew she was getting picked up from the airport. So she ended up telling me, all right, boom, drop her off at the airport, let her get herself together. Pick her up from the airport, drop her off at the hotel, let her get herself together. I go handle what I need to go handle, and I come back. I let her know that I made reservations for us. Be ready. This is what you need to wear. So
put a lip gloss
I get
on
there.
while trying to talk.
She's there.
Wow.
We're talking, and the energy is like, I don't know how to explain the energy. It was like really weird energy for real. So nonetheless, I swept that under the rug. We're talking, we're getting to know each other, asking the stuff that we didn't get to ask on the phone in person. She's like, oh yeah, I love your energy. It's the same. It's the same. I didn't expect for it to be the same. I said, so what did you expect for it to be? So she's telling me all the things she thought I was, and I'm just like, that's not me. But glad you like my energy. So she ended up saying something prior to, which made me end up telling her to get a hotel room. It had threw me off because I was just like, I don't know if she realized that she said this, but I caught it. So I was like, oh yeah, I definitely don't want to have her around me and then she doesn't have anywhere to go. So I'd rather you have your own hotel room. That way we don't have to I don't know. I just thought it was safer. So, sit at the dinner table, boom, boom, boom. I'm telling her, like, get whatever you want, you know. It's okay. I'll handle this go round. We can go Dutch. Like, I handle this one, you handle the next one type stuff. You know, just keeping it even, I would say. So, at the dinner table, I'm taking pictures or whatever because that's just what I do. Like, I create content. I take pictures. So, she's giving me the side eye, and I'm like, you do know that I create content, you know? Like, this is how you initially met me anyway. So, I don't think it's fair for you to try to make me be something that I'm not. Okay, so we ended up getting past that part. Now, remember I told y'all that earlier it was just the energy, and it was like, I think that it was really the elephant in the room that needed to be addressed. So I decided to bring up what was really heavy on my mind, just to clear the energy, just to make sure that the trip wasn't like a waste of time for either one of us. So I asked her, was that okay for me to do? She said, yeah. So if you watch the first A Stud Told Me series video, it'll let you know that she had claimed to be essayed. Now, I take that serious, and that's something that I would just never disclose unless I knew that it was a lie, which in this case, it was a big lie. But we're going to deep dive into this lie because it's just crazy how y'all studs be lying for no reason, and it was such a heavy lie, and I just did not appreciate that. So prior to this, before her even booking the trip, I had called one night and she ended up not returning my call. So I was like, okay, whatever. In the morning time, I was expecting a text or call or something. I didn't get any of that until like the middle of the day. And it was like, hey, how are you? And I was like, well, how are you? Because I haven't heard from you all night. She was like, check the note. I had made a note for us for like a safe space in case, you know, we just needed somewhere just to vent to. I made a note for us. So I checked the note and it said she had basically been SA'd. And I was so confused. So I had asked her a question like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Tell me more. I even called. So I'm asking, like, did you make a police report? Like, did you go to the hospital? Like, are you okay? Is there anything that I could do, even though it was long distance? She's like, no, I'm at work. I'm okay. I'm like, are you for real? Like, you're okay? So in my mind, I'm confused because if that happens to you, I'm pretty sure you're going to be making a police report. Like, you're going to be doing all the things, saving the evidence. Like, we all watched Law and Order SVU. Be for real. Please keep in mind that her dimensions are 6'5" over 240 pounds. So she proceeds to say that she went inside the house and dude was like, all right, let me go to the back and grab the stuff that you need. So she sat on the couch. Another guy walked in the door and started making commotion at her about how she looked, da-da-da-da. And she just was like, man, I'm not on that. And the whole time I'm like, so where was dude at with your stuff? She like, I don't know. So I guess she said she stood up to like go towards the door and the dude was blocking the door and was pushing her. Okay, part 4. So she ended up saying she tried to get up, go to the door to leave because the tree man never came back with the tree. So she's like, when she went to the door, she ended up slipping and falling on a rug. So I said, where was your like pew pew at? You know, like she was like, oh, it was in the car. I'm like, well, that didn't do you any good. You know, you're supposed to have it on you at all times. So I'm like, what happened after that? She's like, it was a struggle and he ended up getting on top of me, but from behind. So I'm like, well, where was the Reed man this whole time? Like, he never came back out. Like, hey, what's going on? Y'all tearing up my stuff. You know, he ain't never come back out. She like, no. So I'm like, what happened then? She's like, well, I ended up passing out. And I woke up face down and I just ended up pulling up my pants and walking out. I said, so weed man never came back with your weed. Was anything taken? Like, well, not was anything taken, but like, did you grab all your belongings? Basically is what I was saying. So she's like, yeah, I grabbed my keys and I grabbed my wallet. It was on the table. So I'm like, with all this commotion and stuff like that, the weed man never came back to give you your weed. So you basically was out of weed and out of something else. So she's like, yeah, I feel crazy about it, da 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 da. I said, well, you need to be going to the hospital. You need to be making a police report, da 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 da. She's like, well, it's the weed man. I said, I don't give a fuck if it was your cousin, your whoever. Like, that is something that you need to take seriously. So at one point, I just was like, hey, when you go to the hospital, have them test you for everything, because you're in Atlanta and it get crazy down there. So, just to be safe. Mind you, she had already booked the flight and it was like a couple days away. So she's like, I still want to come. I'm not going to let anybody take that away from me. I still want to see you. I was looking forward to it. So I sent a message like, you don't think that you need to sit by yourself and process this? Like, I'm just not, I think you need to sit by yourself and process this for a second. So after that, she's like, hold on, y'all. So at this point, y'all, excuse me laughing. All right, at this point, she's telling me everything that happened and how this is all stemming from why she couldn't call back at night. Why she couldn't call back at night. So I'm like, I'm asking all the questions like, did you go to the doctor yet? Like, it's the next day. I'm like, did you go to the doctor yet? Did you get tested? Did you make a police report? Like, have you told your best friend anything? She's like, no, I haven't did any of that yet. I'm going to get to it. So in my head, I'm just like, this is crazy to me. Like, this doesn't make any sense. So she proceeds to send me, either it was that day or the following day, she proceeds to send me a picture of her with like a water gun playing in some water with her best friend's son at her best friend's house. So I'm kind of confused because in the video and the picture that she sent, she's smiling, she's laughing. It doesn't look nothing like she just said that she experienced this traumatic situation. So I'm sitting here, I'm putting two and two together. Of course, I'm getting four because I know a lie when I hear a lie. Furthermore, you're not you're not taking any precautions to check your health. Make a police report, file. I'm like, hell, did the treatment even call you to make sure you was cool? How you know that he didn't get a piece of that pie too? How do we know these things? Like, I'm just asking all the right questions. And it's just like she was either oblivious to it or like she didn't realize that she told me that. I don't know what the case was. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm cool on you for a while. So I didn't say anything for a hot second. She ended up saying like, hey, I need to know what we're doing because my flight is going to be here. I really still want to come. I don't want to let them take that away from me. So in my head, I'm like, you know what? If somebody could sit up in my face and tell me a bold-faced lie, that's scary, and I really need to stay away from them. So I'm like, you know what? Go ahead. Catch that flight. Yeah, go ahead and catch that flight. We're going to see what you're really about in person, because usually 10 times out of 10, can't nobody stand 10 toes of me with a lie in person. That's just not how I roll. So now we all caught up. We at the airport. Boom. Y'all probably should have watched part 3 and y'all should watch part 2 and part 3 to get all the way caught up. Because now we at the dinner table and this is when I bring it back up again. So I'm just like, are you sure that this really happened to you? Because you sent me pictures of you playing in water. You sent me pictures of you sitting courtside at a basketball game. Mind you, she played football. So you sent me pictures of you cutting your coach's hair. And I'm just like, you've done everything but go to the hospital, make a police report, get tested, show me your my chart, and give me your best friend's number, because I don't want to know if the best friend know what's really going on. So whole room stood still at this point, because I feel like now she know that I know that was a complete lie. But for you to go to the extent to lie like that because you couldn't call me back in the middle of the night,
yeah, why would
blows
you lie
me.
about something like
Part
that?
6. Okay, y'all, don't judge me. I'm cleaning up my house. So we got to finish with part 6 because I'm about to start combining the parts so it won't be such a long story. So we sat at the dinner table. We had that conversation. Basically, I knew in that moment, because I have some intuition sometimes. Like, I have strong intuition. I knew in the moment that it was a lie and that she couldn't keep up with that lie. So I never got the my chart. I never got the best friend's number, even though I asked for it multiple times. Like, I never got anything that I needed to reassure me that actually happened to her. Because God forbid that actually happened to her and nobody believed her because of her stature and, her height and weight and stuff like that. But I knew what I needed to know in that moment to know that she wasn't completely telling the truth. So I'm just like, at the dinner table, shit was awkward or whatever. I'm like, you know what? it is what it is, because I just know that after this trip, like after this little trip for you, we're done. Like, because I can't be anywhere where someone feels more comfortable lying than they do telling the truth. That's just crazy to me. And there's no reason that you had to lie, because at the end of the day, I know there's plenty of females still out here sneaking dick, whatever they doing, you know, it's out here still. And you're in the mecca of whole land, which is Atlanta. So I don't know why she did that. It was really weird to me. Long story short, we went through with the trip. After that, ended up sending her back, and she was like, oh my god, thank you, I enjoyed my time here, all the things. I'm like, yeah, you cool, you know. Then she had the nerve to tell me, I thought I was coming here to just chill and relax. Meaning, she tried to say that I made too many reservations, I had like too many activities for us to do and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't know anywhere that somebody would go and who would just want to be sitting up in a hotel room cooped up, you know? So I'm like, you know what? It's okay. You really don't have to worry about me for real, for real. Then she started talking back to me, you know, start showing some progress and little things like that. But still in the back of my mind, I can't trust you, because it's just too much. Like, you know, I can't trust you. So I'm like, hey, my birthday is coming up. You know, what's going on? I can't trust you because your track record has shown that. So in the middle of everything like going on and stuff, I'm just kind of over it. Things are not the same. And you know, when you feel like that, it's time for you to go. So I will say that has probably been the craziest thing a stud has told me. Like, it by far the craziest thing a stud has told me. Hey y'all, new stud story time. Okay, bear with me because I can't do two things at once. Alright, I was talking to this stud.
We know this already.
She was older, of course, and she was little. And I thought it was super cute. So shout out to all y'all short studs out there. Alright, so we were talking, and initially everything was cool. You know, you asked the basic questions, do the rundown, everything was cool. So we're gonna get into the juiciness of it all. It's gonna be probably 3 parts. I don't know. So we're talking or whatever. So I'm like, hey, where do you live? She's like, I live in down south, warm state. So I'm like, oh, that's so nice, you know. She was a truck driver. So listen, let me tell you something about y'all truck driver studs. Oh my god. Okay, so she was a truck driver. So she was letting me know that she usually works 3 on, 1 off. So that means like she works 3 weeks straight, and she can go home on that last week or whatever week she chooses to. So then I'm like, so what do you do on the week that you actually can go home? She's like, I usually just stay on my truck because I don't really have anything to go home to. You know, I just prefer to work and get my money. So I'm like, okay, cool. So she's like, so tell me more about you. So I'm telling her about me and everything like that. Now, mind you, this is all within the first day. Okay, so she's a truck driver. She lives out of state, and she lives with her best friend. Okay, I'm thinking her best friend is actually a best friend. So I'm telling her, like, tell me your experiences that you've had that have, like, impacted you or whatever. So she's telling me about this girl, which is her ex, that she says, and how she hasn't talked to her in a while, you know, because they grew apart, basically. I'm like, okay, cool. So it happened to be, like, a day that, I don't know if it was, like, a random, whatever. Starbucks does these random things, like, where you get, like, a red cup or a random color cup for free. It was the holidays. So I got a notification, like, come get your free cup. So I'm telling her, like, oh my god, I can't get my cup, I'm sad because I have to go to work. She's like, oh, are you talking about this cup? And she proceeds to send me a picture of the red cup, and I'm like, yeah, but on a cup next to it, it was a person's name. I zoom in because my mind says zoom in. I zoom in, it's the girl's name who she said was her ex that she hadn't talked to in a while. I end up looking at the cup. I see that it's the name of the girl that she said she hasn't talked to in a while. I make a mental note, you know, because it's still early on. Anything could happen. Boo-hoo, I'm making excuses. We know what time it is. So I just want her to admit that she's a liar. Off rip. But they never do that. So let's keep going. So we're talking, boom, boom, shit is going good. Of course, they're like, I feel like this should be a phrase. I want to see you, you know? I want to see you. So I'm like, all right, cool, make it happen. She's like, I'm going to try to get a route in your area so we can link up. So the first route that she got ended up like being like a 3-hour drive or something for me. So I'm like, mind you, I don't really like driving like that if I don't have to. But I'm like, I'll take the drive. I need some excitement. So, hold on. Okay, so I was taking a drive because I needed some excitement. Boom, boom. We link up. The first link up, it was cool, but it was kind of creepy because I was at a truck stop. Oh my God. I've never been to a truck stop in my life. But I was there, and that one, she was like, oh, this is one of, like, I guess, one of the best ones they got. I'm like, okay. So I'm there. I brought a bottle. She had bought me a gift. And so we pretty much was like, boom, boom, exchange. So on the first initial link up, I'm telling you, this shit is like crazy to me. On the first initial link up, it's kind of embarrassing. I don't want to say it. Okay. So we was all staying. It was a good thing, for real. So she's like, oh, I'm enjoying myself. I enjoyed myself. I don't want you to go, because I was going to go. Like, I was going to go back home. She like, you can either stay with me and we stay on the truck, or we get a hotel room. It's up to you, for real. So I'm like, I mean, for real, it's up to you. You know, you're the one who wanted me out here. So we ended up kicking it on a truck for a minute. And it was fun, y'all. Oh, my God. So after that, I definitely let her know, like, I can't do this again, though. But for that first initial thing, to say I did it. It was cool. Not something that I would be able to do again. So after that, I ended up driving back home. We're still talking. We're talking, like, even more now than ever. So I'm asking a question. I'm like, hey, so remember when you sent me the red cup? I happen to see such and such's name on it. What's going on with that situation? She's like, oh, nothing much. You don't have to worry about that. Clock it. When they tell you that you don't have to worry about that, you should probably worry about that. So at this point, I'm like, whatever. We're not going to worry about it at the forefront because it doesn't directly affect me. So I'm pretty easygoing, for real. I feel like honesty should be your best policy. And if it doesn't directly affect me, I let it go. So at this point, I'm noticing that our calls are getting shorter. So in my head, I'm like, if our calls are getting shorter, that means that her calls are getting longer with someone else. That's how I'm thinking. So I'm like, hey, is there anything that you want to tell me? You know, like, I'm trying to figure this shit out, for real. She's like, oh, well, such and such has been reaching out to me, trying to get back with me. So, mind you, that's the name that I had saw in the cup that she told me don't worry about. So I was like, oh, I think it's crazy that this is coming out of nowhere. She's like, oh yeah, I think that exes try to come back when they feel something else good is going to go on for you, or some bullshit like that. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So make a mental note of that. She also brings up the situation like, whatever we did on the truck, it did something to me. So I'm like, okay, as it should, you know. She's like, I want more. I'm like, okay, make it happen type shit. You know, you want me, you gotta make it happen. Because at this point, I feel like I drove to you first, so now you should drive to me, or make provisions for you to get yourself to me, period. So we at the point where she's telling me, don't worry about this person, da-da-da-da. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. She wanted to come see me again, so I'm like, all right, cool, make it happen. So she ended up coming to see me. It was cool. Now, I want to try to keep in mind that the time, the effort, and consistency, like, these are all day, like 4 or 5 days in a row, like, nonstop, no break. So I'm only saying that because somehow, some way, y'all studs make time to have other families. Like, y'all make time to have other relationships and all that stuff, and that is scary to me. So somebody's calling her phone. Ring. She's not answering it. I already know what time it is. So I'm like, you can answer it. You know, ain't no big deal. We are not together. You can answer it. So she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, all right, cool. So, okay. So she ended up not answering the phone call. We go about our day. So I ended up picking her up for the truck stop. Brought her to my spot. So I had to drive back to the truck stop. Drop her off to her truck. So she's like, I enjoy my time per usual. You know, I'm a vibe for real. So I'm like, are you sure that there's nothing that you want to tell me? You know, because I already know in my head what type of time it is. But for my safety, like for my sanity, not safety, for my, sanity and safety, just tell me what type of time you want. So she like, no, I'm just focused on you right now. Da 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 da. Me and my best friend are like we're having disagreements at home. So I'm like, well, I actually never asked about the best friend. So I'm like, tell me more about this best friend. She's like, oh, it's my ex. I'm like, come again? She's like, it's my ex. We haven't been seeing eye to eye, so we just decided to be roommates because it was financially beneficial. So I'm like, is your best friend is your roommate, which is your ex? Y'all still together? She's like, no, we haven't been together for a while, but it's still financially beneficial. Oh, that's cool. It's still financially beneficial. I'm like, all right, whatever. So at this point, I'm irritated. Let me put my thumb down. At this point, I'm irritated. Yeah, they know I'm irritated. So I'm like, I'll talk to you later. So she ended up saying like, hey, I know that probably threw you for a loop. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I don't want to lose you. That's why I didn't say anything. I honestly still feel like if you would have told me earlier on, you would have gave me the opportunity to figure out if that's something that I can handle. If I can, we're already long distance, so it's not like I could be like, hey, don't stay with nobody, da 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 da. You know, like, we're long distance. I don't know what you're really doing, but now that you said that, I'm cool on you. So then she proceeds to go on the website that we had met on because it was Facebook dating. She proceeds to go on Facebook dating and change her status to say, okay, so this one's kind of longer because y'all wanted longer stories. So she's like, I'm irritated. I don't really want to talk to her anymore. So she ended up going to the Facebook dating profile. I got to talk a little faster. And changing her, like, little bio to say, if me living with my ex is a problem, then don't match with me. Weirdo. Whatever. Okay, so I didn't say nothing to her for a while. Like, I'm saying, like, probably, like, a week. So she ended up, like, start blowing up my phone. Like, please talk to me. I'm sorry. Let me do whatever I need to do to fix it. I'm just like, I'm cool on you. Like, you know, I'm not on that. In this point in my life, I want stability or provider and stuff like that. I don't want none of that messiness. So we haven't talked for a while. So in the middle of the night, I get this call. Like, she's blowing me up. I'm not answering because I'm asleep, and I don't ruin my sleep for anybody. I don't care. So she leaves me this voicemail like, tell me what I gotta do. I'll kick that girl right out, and you can move in with me right now. I'll do whatever you want me to do. She gotta go. I'll tell her that she gotta go because it's not nothing like that. I haven't been
Day and night. For some women, it can start working in its 1 week.